why hasn't this been mined? Like, it looks like, considering the plant was down the road, like what's the knock on this? It look like in this market, it looks like it's so mineable. Like, what am I not seeing here?
Well, we asked the same question. It's a great resource, and with more work on it, it could be even bigger. But I can't answer it. I don't know.
This is general advice and my opinions only. This episode's company has paid me for this interview. I may be long, short, or hold an interest in stocks or CFDs mentioned. Past performance isn't reliable. The interviewee's views are their own, not necessarily mine. LEVRD operates as a corporate authorised representative 00131 8377 under AFSL 548573. You can find our financial services guide via the LEVRD website link in the show notes.
Right, bag holders and stop-loss owners. I'm heading back to where I cut my teeth. I love this district. Special place in my heart. Right near DeGrussa. We're talking copper in the Murchison. BOA Resources. I've got the new main man, Graeme Purcell, on, the MD, to talk about, mate, are we going to find the next DeGrussa?
Well, let's not say we'll find the next DeGrussa, Matt. Let's just say we'll find the next sediment-hosted copper district with luck.
With luck, of course, mate. Mate, brought to you by WA Waterbores. If you need any waterbores bloody drilled up there, mate, he's a short drive down from Geraldton. Just let me know. Now, this district, I've got it up on screen here. DeGrussa VMS. You're talking about sedimentary hosted. So, mate, talk about we'll get into how you come about these assets, but are people thinking, you're going to find the next DeGrussa? And you're like, well, we're sort of in a different mineralogy area. Take us through it so I don't create false expectations here.
No worries. Well, the DeGrussa deposit's a VMS deposit, and there's that one in Horseshoe Lights and a number of other prospects, but they're all in the Briar Basin, and that's structurally adjacent to the LEVRD Basin. And what we have in the Neds Creek project is the northeastern portion of the LEVRD Basin, and the copper mineralisation within that area is epigenetic. It's much younger, structurally controlled, sediment-hosted copper. So it's a very different mineralisation style and sort of different way of exploring for it, I suppose. But it's fundamentally different to DeGrussa. So I guess the short answer is no, we're not going to find another DeGrussa, but we do expect to find significant sediment-hosted copper resources.
Yeah, very good. I'm sure everyone's thinking, why can't you just find another one? It's right next door. But it's not that simple.
We'd love to, but geology's drives what we're doing.
Yeah. Mate, you've been on the BOA board since 2021. You've just been elevated to the MD position. Kath Norman's moved to chair. So what was it all around this deal? What spurred the transition right now, Graeme?
It's very much about this deal. It's the next phase for BOA Resources is exploration and resource definition, development. And I've been exploration geo for 30 years, and I do exploration and resource development, and that's my skill set, and that sort of is more appropriate, I guess, for the next few years worth of work for the company. And that was a board decision. And, I was a bit hesitant at first to take on the MD role. I've never done this before, but I have sort of been in the more technical side of things and quite comfortable and happy doing that. But this project I really like this project. I believe in it, and that's really the main reason why I accepted the role.
Very good. Now, the deal, mate, we'll get into the deal before we get in the weeds about what the resource you've got, because it does have an existing resource. Sort of a couple of phases to it. So I've got it up on screen here. So you entered in the agreement to acquire 100% of CVA, Core Value Australia, and then you're acquiring the remaining 51% of the Neds Creek from Sandfire. So, mate, how did it all come about? Looks like it's all getting pieced together in one go at the moment, and you're consolidating a good chunk of tenure in that district.
Well, firstly, about late last year, BOA we've been talking with Sandfire about the Neds Creek project for a while, and we finally thought, let's put our foot on it. And so we ended up reaching the deal with Sandfire to acquire initially the 49% for an all-scrip deal. And then we had a 1-year option to acquire the remainder and mop up the rest of Sandfire. And while we're going through helping Sandfire get the tenements granted, because most of all their tenure at the time was exploration licence applications. So they had to go through getting some heritage protection agreements together and then, to allow the tenements to be granted. So we didn't really want to exercise that while they were in applications. We were helping them get granted, and then the natural time then would have been to acquire the remainder of Sandfire. So getting towards the end of that process, the opportunity for core value and the Thaduna and Green Dragon assets came up. So we thought it just made commercial sense to wrap it all up into one and consolidate the lot in the one transaction.
Yeah, so and the Thaduna Green Dragon, that's straight from Sandfire, which is now you've got a $2 billion copper producer as a substantial shareholder. So that's which is, I guess, similar to what they've done in South Australia as well. So yeah, we'll get into that. So it's a three-way wrap up effectively.
Yes, that's right. But it's the core value Sandfire deal. We had to wait for that, and when that started to materialise, that's when we spoke to core value and realised that we could plug the gaps in the broader Neds Creek project. And it just made commercial sense for us to try and acquire those as well, and eventually struck that deal with core value.
Yeah, and why the structure? So it was because you had 49%, then an option to get the 51%, but you're actually buying the company instead of exercising the option. Why the process that way?
Well, initially, we wanted to put our foot on it as quickly as we could for the Sandfire deal. So we had a 15% capacity, so we used as much of that as we could and that acquired 49% of Sandfire. The option then gave us, and we had a foot on that then, so we could exercise that at our leisure. So, but we wanted to make sure that the project was, with granted tenure, so we could actually get on the ground and actually start doing some work. And that was really the basic reason as to why we went down that path.
Yeah, and the Thaduna Green Dragon, like the Sandfire assets, and we'll get into it later. Like a lot of the stuff at DeGrussa's been, sold. The camp's been sold. Bits of the mill, a lot of the mill's been sold, but there's still a lot of infrastructure of sorts there. A lot of holes in the ground there. Sandfire sort of passing this on and keeping an equity stake, I guess. What's their sort of reasoning behind this? Just not a core part of their business anymore, and they'd rather, a junior like yourself go and do a work and see if they can get lucky in the region?
Well, I guess so. I mean, I really can't speak for Sandfire and their thought process, but I agree with what you say, is that I think the Thaduna Green Dragon was non-core to them because they're in the middle of closure and wrapping up DeGrussa. And yes, the plant's going and a lot of the other infrastructure there. So we're not looking at it from that perspective of utilising anything that Sandfire has in the region. It's we're looking at it really from a standalone perspective.
Do they retain any? Is there any royalties attached to it, like buyback or anything, or that it's like purely sold on and they're just a shareholder of you now? What's Sandfire's involvement in this going to be?
Essentially none. There is some existing historic royalties from when Sandfire initially purchased the Thaduna Green Dragon, but no, there's no buyback or first right of refusal. It's just purely. They are going to purely be shareholders of the company.
Yeah. And
that's nice to have a large company sitting on our share register. But no, the only interest they have is at the back end when we hopefully get to a decision to mine, there's a $2 million payment there. But there's no other claim to it at all from Sandfire. It's a very clean deal in that respect.
Yeah, okay. And then what is actually left at DeGrussa that you can possibly leverage off? Like a lot of the, hard infrastructure's gone. There's a bitumen bloody airstrip there for you. But what is there anything left there that you can possibly utilise in the future?
No, I don't think so. No, there is old equipment and things that we might, sort of see if we can purchase from them. But no, it's for the next few years, it is going to be just an exploration focus. And yeah, we're not looking at an operation in that sense. And by the stage, or by the time we get to that stage, there won't really be anything left there. We anticipate at DeGrussa. It's again, we're just looking at it purely from a standalone perspective.
Yeah, okay. Now, the projects, mate. Thaduna, we'll start at Thaduna and Green Dragon, because this actually comes with a resource which is, flying under the radar a bit, to be honest. Like, you look at these tonnages and grades, like 5.3 million tonne at 2.3% copper for 121,000 tonne of contained copper. So that's Thaduna and Green Dragon. So maybe start there, mate, like, because there's actually, historic. There's a historic pits from back in the day. Got it up on screen here. Some pretty impressive grades at depth, like 8.2 metres at 4.7%. So it's not like you're walking up to nothing here.
Well, exactly. I mean, this is one of the things that we're pretty excited about in acquiring the Thaduna and Green Dragon, particularly Thaduna. It's a substantial resource of 100,000 tonnes of contained copper, and it is at, as you say, at a very good grade. Thaduna itself, we've recut the resource and raised the cut-off grade, which dropped some tonnage off it, but it also increased the overall grade. And 2.5% is a very healthy grade for a copper resource anywhere, really. And one of the key things about Thaduna is the upper part of it's been drilled down to around 600 metres vertical depth, and as you can see on the long section here, and the upper part of the system is chalcopyrite dominant, so it's about 33 weight% copper, but the bottom half is more bornite rich, which is 66 weight% copper. So you sort of double the grade, and you can see that in the lower grades there in the bottom half. I mean, there's some very good grades up to 8%, and and that's pretty healthy. And if we can find more of that, we'll be able to hopefully increase the Thaduna resource substantially.
Why hasn't this been mined? Like, it looks like, considering the plant was down the road, like what's the knock on this? It look like in this market, it looks like it's so mineable. Like, what am I not seeing here?
Well, we asked the same question. It's a great resource, and with more work on it, it could be even bigger. But I can't answer it. I don't know. I guess if you're going to compare this resource to what Sandfire were mining at DeGrussa, I mean, they had 3 to 3.5% copper and 2 grams gold. So I suppose when you look at it that way, these tonnes here would never have displaced any of the DeGrussa ore. So, but it is a great resource, and with a bit more scale and increase the scope of the broader project, it is mineable.
Yeah, it's like the grades are higher than, what you're seeing in a North Queensland copper project that's sort of getting attention. So, yeah, it just seems like it's flown under the radar. Where are you attacking this straight up? Looking at, like, as you said, it's been drilled to 600 depth, which is, that's getting pretty bloody deep for a unmined resource besides that pit at the top. Where's the potential at this project for more tonnes of copper?
Well, just at Thaduna itself, I mean, you can see some gaps there at the top, and all the resource there that we're looking at is below the oxidation. So it's all basically a sulfide resource, and that's what we're looking at here. Nothing to do with the oxide, but the gaps at the top there are purely due to local infrastructure, some dams and some historic waste dumps and things. So with a little bit of earthworks, we should be able to fill in some of those gaps. But I think the main game that we're thinking of with Thaduna is looking in the bottom half and finding the margins. You can see the resource there gets a bit skinnier with depth. That's just a function of drilling, not geology or continuity. So our first sort of look that we're thinking at the moment is chasing the margins of that before we go a lot deeper.
Because I think it's about, 85% inferred at the moment. Is there a lot of infill drilling planned to start converting that, or are you looking for more extensions at the start, or a bit of both?
Definitely more extensions. I think that's our key, is to grow the resource, and with that comes a better understanding geologically of the resource that we can apply back into it and increase the confidence level. But we may put in some other holes just to confirm geology, but no, the main part here is purely to grow it.
Yeah, and Green Dragon, that's the other one, another one with a bit of a old school existing pit, both on mining licenses. What about this one? This looks like a bit more shallow, flatter dipping sort of veiny sort of structure, not as blobby as the other one?
Well, yeah, it's the same mineralisation style, but it's a bit different in that it's got multiple lodes, and it hasn't been anywhere near as well drilled as what Thaduna has. Obviously, when Ventnor were drilling that, they focused mostly at Thaduna. But Green Dragon for us is, you can see the mining lease there. It's actually quite small, and they're a bit limited in terms of space. But now that it's consolidated, or will be consolidated, that we'll be able to look a lot more on further along strike, down dip, and we anticipate there will be a plunge control to Green Dragon. We might be able to see a vertical one or a west dipping one there, but that's definitely going to be a focus to grow that one. It is lower grade, but it's sort of much more underdone, if you like, underexplored than something like Thaduna. But we're definitely going to be coming in here and having a good crack at Green Dragon.
Is that another thing that Sandfire didn't get as much money for as they would have now is silver? Not reported, but does it exist here within this mineralisation?
Yeah, that's the thing about the Thaduna Green Dragon is copper with a little bit of silver. That's all the mineralisation is, and it's very simple. We didn't report the silver just because we want to understand the distribution of that so it can be more JORC compliant. I know it has been reported in the past, but we purposely took that off, and it's something that we'll look at as we sort of do upgrades to our resource in the future.
Is there any numbers that you can give, even though it's not JORC compliant, like what grade silver are a byproduct of this?
The silver grades, I think, were sort of up to about 20 grams per tonne of silver. So and given the volumes, it does add up to substantial. Previously reported was hundreds of thousands of ounces of silver, and that has it eventually will have a material economic impact. But I guess we're just a long way from looking at it from an economic perspective. We just need to build the resources and build the size and scope of this project before we sort of look into that in more detail.
It'll cover your salary, Graeme. You could say you're working for nothing to the investors.
Hopefully it covers everyone's salary and pays back a bit of capital too.
Mate, other targets. So not the radio host, Ricci Lee. Is that how you pronounce it, Ricci Lee? Yeah,
it's Ricci Lee. It's a combined name of two of the early miners there.
Yeah, okay. So you got 6 priority prospects. You got Ricci Lee, Rooney's, Blockley, Mueller, Ward, Limestone Bore, Enigma. So there's plenty going on here. Who's the favourite child out of all this? Where's the ranking going for all these drill targets coming up?
Ricci Lee is the best target that we have on the project. Outside of Thaduna Green Dragon, by far, Ricci Lee is the best one. It's got historic workings. It has shallow RAB drilling that was drilled in 2007, and it has 8 RC holes drilled sort of a few years later than that. And it's defined a panel of 500 metres of strike up to 200 metres vertical depth. And you can see on the deepest one there has got some very healthy grades up around the 5% mark. And this is just screaming out for some drilling. And it's just a fantastic target. We couldn't believe it when we saw it. We thought, why hasn't it been drilled? And again, we can't answer that, but that's I'm just happy it hasn't been drilled because it gives us the opportunity.
So this is because I see there's no circle around this. There's no resource, no nothing, just some drill holes, and you just got to start drawing some outlines around it. It appears.
Well, yeah. This one's a really simple program for us. It's basically a matter of simple grid pattern drilling and to fill in the gaps from below the oxide and look along strike that and at depth, drilling in and around the known numbers there, confirming the continuity of the grade and the mineralisation, and then chasing it at depth. So no, this is an exciting target for us. It's to the point that when Dave Reid, our exploration manager, and I were looking at this, we thought we'd better go in the field and just check this out just to make sure there's no more drilling. And lo and behold, there is the only 8 holes, and it's just a walk-up target. And just by doing this program that we have planned, I think it's about 5,500 metres, we would hope that actually comes into be enough for a maiden resource, hopefully before the end of this year.
So is that those grades at depth there, that 10 at 5, is that heading into Bornite territory as well? What's the mineralisation like here? Because I remember DeGrussa, the VMS, that was, some of your high-grade stopes there were, 5+%, and they were pretty thick. So 10 metres at 5, that's, pretty good in the world of copper. But this, to just maybe explain the difference that you're going to see in sedimentary hosted between what DeGrussa was seeing in a VMS.
Well, what we're looking at with Ricci Lee is we consider it a direct analogue to Thaduna. Yeah. And it's the same structural orientation. It's 2 kilometres from Thaduna. It's got the same host rocks. It's got the same structural orientation, and it has all the hallmarks of Thaduna, and that's what we hope it turns into eventually. But yeah, the log on that deepest hole there with the 10 at 5, the historic log did come back with both chalcopyrite and bornite. So we're hoping there is more bornite closer to surface at Ricci Lee, but that's just speculation until we actually get our drilling in and have a good look at it. Then we'll hopefully be able to confirm that. But if we can get higher grades closer to surface, then happy days for everyone.
Because that, looking on I remember when they were mining Monty, that was, Sandfire's, DeGrussa's little stepson, you'd say, that wasn't around for too long, but that had a lot of bornite there. Was that more sedimentary as well than a VMS? Because I know DeGrussa didn't have bornite, I don't think.
No, Monty, from my understanding, is VMS. It is the little brother to DeGrussa in the same mineralisation style, but no, once you get past Monty and over the fault zone, you're in the Yerrada Basin, and again, it's a very different package of rocks. And no volcanics, it's just all sediments, and yeah, that's just a totally different mineralisation style. But if I can find bornite, or if we're lucky enough to have bornite closer to surface at Ricci Lee, or any other prospects for that matter, then it'll make us very happy.
Yeah, very good. Mate, Rooney's, another one. That's next cab off the rank after Ricci Lee.
Yeah, that's our second priority target, and it's got historic workings, although they're a bit more modest. There has some shallow RAB drilling, which had some very good grades, as you can see in that cross-section there. And then Sandfire Resources, who discovered this prospect, they drilled 1 fence of RC holes and got some good intersections, at least the shallower hole there in sulphide. And then the 2 deeper holes there got skinnier and lower grade, but we anticipate there's a plunge component there, and they've drilled under the plunge. But yeah, that structure there, it's the same orientation as Green Dragon, on the same structural trend. And we're going to look at drilling at least part of that immediately with RC after we drill Ricci Lee. But we also, one of the things that Dave Reed and I found when we were out mapping there is some historic sort of slots, costines, if you like, that they did in the late 60s. And you can see 2 other structures. One is the continuation of Rooney's, actually dips back the other way to the south. And there's also a Thaduna-oriented structure that had a little bit of copper mineralisation in it, so just to work out which way the structures are going and where the grade is and how continuous it is, we're just going to do some air core drilling there as well before we come in and do some NERC if that's warranted. So
like across this package, so I've got 1,378 square kilometres, and with multiple structurally controlled, you've got multiple deposits already. I guess how's your understanding of that tenement package to look for potential repeats of things that you don't even know are in there yet?
Oh, it's fantastic. One of the things we inherited with this project is a fantastic geophysical data sets that Sandfire Resources, Ventnor Resources and Sandfire have collected. And we're going to be looking at that. We already started looking at that in a lot of detail to try and generate other targets and look, because the targets that we have at the moment, they've all fallen out from the historic drilling and they're known prospects, if you like. But yeah, we see a lot of upside, a lot of potential in the rest of the package through there that have been either unexplored or underexplored. So, I mean, for us, this is just the start, really, of the Neds Creek project.
Yeah, so that and Monty was found by Sandfire using geophysics, from what I've read. How big of a play is the geophysical data you've got and potentially new geophysical surveys that you're going to do going to play in finding more of this bloody stuff?
Well, at the moment, we have really exceptional packages of high-resolution aeromagnetics. We have airborne EM, VTEM. We have spectral data. We have, hopefully, upon completion of the deal, we pick up some airborne gravity data. There's really no more geophysics we have to collect. It's just a matter of utilising what's already there, reprocessing it, reinterpreting it. So that's one of the advantages. And again, one of the things we really liked about the project is that we save time and money by not having to do it, but just looking at the data and incorporating that back into our exploration plans and doing a broader generative target generation process over the whole of the project.
Are you going to be doing much in the hull of your existing hulls? Like, does that apply in sedimentary stuff?
Well, it may do. That's something we'll learn. If we do have enough sulfides and there's enough connectivity between them, we may be able to use downhole geophysics. It's something we're thinking about. But from our understanding at Thaduna, it hasn't worked that well at this stage. But every project, every prospect is going to be different. So we have to look at it and just keep our eyes open as to what's going to be the best way to attack it.
I guess the tenement status and, progression to mining leases eventually. You've already got the mining leases on Thaduna and Green Dragon. So I think you got half the Neds Creek tenements have been granted. What's the process to get the rest of them granted?
Oh, look, pleased to say every tenement that Sandfire and our core value have been granted. That was part of the process we're working through because there are two overlapping native title claims. So we had to go through and get two heritage protection agreements. Their objections then were withdrawn and the Mines Department was then able to grant the tenure. So as we speak, all tenure has been granted. That's all live and public information. So that's no problem in saying it. But now we have a whole bunch of outside of the mining leases. They're all brand new exploration leases. And, it's all 100% owned once we complete.
So that like the existing MLs on Thaduna and Green Dragon, I know they were just for, there's a small historical open trial pit there effectively from back in the day. But have you got much of a leg up with those M's already been granted on those two as a potential mining scenario in the future?
Oh, that makes it much simpler and easier and a quicker process. But if we find some resources on Ricci Lee or Rooney's, then we'll have to go through a process to get the mining leases granted and the applications we put on. I mean, it's just a process we'll have to go through, but that may take some time. But our focus, again, is purely on exploration and resource growth, and the mining leases will come with time. Yep.
The bloody CommBank account, mate. The balance sheet. I think end of the last quarter, you ended March with 3.24 mil. I don't think your quarterly's out yet. How's, I guess, with the drill program you got planned, so 15,000 metre drill program, you've got, transaction costs, stamp duty and everything. What's the allocation of funds looking like going forward for this program?
Oh, look, the beauty of where we're at from the placement that we did early in January this year, that we're funded to do all of our drilling. Half of the drilling is RC, it's more expensive, but the other half is air core, which is a substantially cheaper process.
Yep.
But we're well funded to do all the work that we got planned till the end of the year, and for some follow-up work, immediate follow-up work if we need to. So, no, we're well funded at this stage to do what we want to do, complete transaction and do all our exploration.
Very good, mate. I guess what's the pipeline then? Ricci Lee, you sound like Ricci Lee's the thing that's exciting you the most, but this drill program, when are we going to be potentially seeing some assays start dropping? What's the timeline for the rest of the year?
Well, at the moment, Dave Reid, our exploration manager, is planning on mobilising at the end of this month and getting all the crew to site and get the rigs to site. And we're looking at drilling in early August. We've still got to finalise drill contracts, but all logistics is building towards the end of this month when we mobilise. So once we start drilling, you're expecting a 3 to 4 week turnaround for the assays. So I think come September, early September, we should be able to start dribbling out the drill results to the market.
Hopefully there's some sort of closure to the war by then. It'd be nice.
Well, yeah, it's a busy time because we're working through completing the transaction. But the good thing is we've now completed all the heritage surveys, the two that we had to do with the different groups. We're planning on drilling early next month, and at the same time integrating the data once we complete the transaction, integrating Thaduna Green Dragon data into our sort of process, and come September, hopefully just regular news flow with drill results.
Mate, just to finish off the register, you obviously we talked about Sandfire being on as a substantial, but you obviously got the vendors that have come in, like Adrian Griffin joining the board. Take us through the register of who you can disclose of how's it looking, like escrowed or for a lot of those holders, just because it's been a bit of a big piece together jobby.
Yeah, well, on completion, because it's an all-scrip deal, there will be an escrow on the shares to CBA, at least in part. I think it's 6 months and for the initial tranche, and then 12 months for the up later. But one of the things that's coming with the transaction is Adrian, and he's the principal of core value. There's a whole bunch of other shareholders, obviously, but no, we're pleased to have him come onto the board because as you're probably aware, Matt, he's been a lot of floats and generated a lot of projects and companies over the years. He's got great commercial and technical sense as well, being a geo by background, and sort of complements our board in that sense because we've got Kath Norman and Mark Tomlinson and soon to be Adrian that got great access to capital markets, so we'll be able to fund ourselves in the future, and also a good technical balance between myself, Adrian, and Kath and Mark as well. So it's a nicely balanced board, and we're also building a strong exploration team, particularly with Dave Reed, who I haven't said, but he used to work. He was exploration manager for Ventnor, and he drilled 90% of the holes. He basically built those resources. So that technical knowledge we have in house saves us a lot of time and money as well. So it's the beginning of a good thing, we think. Yeah,
I think it's usually good. It's good to see when the vendor comes on the board, which it's just because then right, they're less likely to sell shares then if they're on the board.
Well, less able to sell shares, yeah. But no, I think one of the things with core value and all the shareholders and a lot of our current shareholders, they see the value and the potential in this project and see a lot of potential growth for us. So the trick is now is to get exploring and get some good drill results.
Yeah, very good, mate. Well, I am looking forward to September when when the deal goes through, start drilling and this starts dropping, mate. Because that's exciting to see a bit more copper in WA of those grades. North Queensland gets the love, but good to see this happening here in a district I love. So
yeah, that's the thing is. The Neds Creek project is quite an unusual style of mineralisation for WA and indeed for Australia. So it's an exciting time for us and something we're really looking forward to. And I'd love to be able to come back and talk to you again in a few months with some really good results under our belt.
Well, mate, the bloody gold prices, the love's coming out of gold. So you've got to revive the Murchison with some copper stories, I think. So we'll run with that. It's you can save the district.
Well, it seems to be, if you listen to all the market commentary, it seems to be a great time to be getting into copper, and so hopefully we can ride that wave.
Very good, mate. Well, Graeme, congrats on the new appointment, and mate, best of luck, and look forward to watching this one. Very interesting. Cheers for coming on LEVRD.
Oh, thanks very much for having us, mate. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Lovely. Cheers, mate.